In today's video, I'm going to go over my 10 favorite drugstore concealers for 2022. Hey everyone, this is Lisa. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Lisa Monique Beauty, where we cover all things beauty and lifestyle for the over 50 woman. So these are the top 10 drugstore concealers that I use pretty regularly. And so I just did a concealer video. I talked about some concealer hints and hacks and everything like that. And it also tells you how I apply my concealers, how I use my full coverage concealers, how I use my more skin loving concealers. And all of the concealers I am going to mention today work beautifully on me. They last a long time if they're supposed to cover the hyperpigmentation when I take the steps that I talk about in the video to set them. And then also I love them as brightening concealers. So I am not swatching these concealers in this video. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm sorry. It just doesn't really work because not all these shades look good on me now. And then people start judging the concealers on, which shade looks right for me. But of course, if you watch my channel, you know my skin tone changes all the time because I spend so much time outdoors. My face gets color really fast, but it also loses color really fast. So my face is always changing colors. And so I have, just a ton of different shades of foundations and concealers. And the one I use is usually whichever one matches my face the best at that time. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm just going to talk to you first about the full coverage concealers that I use to cover my hyperpigmentation and spots on my face. Now, right now, I don't have any concealer on. I do have a full face of makeup. I did film another video, but I didn't use concealer. I just used a light medium coverage foundation. Okay, so the first concealer is the one I actually used in my concealer video, and this is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Full Wear Concealer. This right now is my favorite for covering hyperpigmentation spots. I have two shades, 385 Amber and 400 Caramel. And the reason why it's my favorite right now, besides these being nice, deep, dark shades that match my skin, it's got this really nice big doe foot, and so it's really easy to apply and cover large areas on my face, which when I'm trying to cover these large hyperpigmentation spots or the melasma on my jawline or around my chin, this does a lot of coverage really fast. Okay, next I really have been enjoying the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer. I only discovered this about a month ago when I was filming a NYX full face of NYX video and I was testing out the products. So these two are also pretty good colors for me. I have the beige, which is a little more lightening or brightening color, and I have the golden. Right now they're both just a little light on me. I'm going to show you the beige though. So this one has a small doe foot. Okay, the biggest difference between these two is the Infallible actually still stays moisturized feeling, and the Can't Stop Won't Stop dries down completely. Now, I usually will put on my concealer over a freshly moisturized face, so that's not a deciding factor for me. However, if you have oily skin or you're putting on a more dewy foundation, the Can't Stop Won't Stop is a little bit drier. So that's the big difference. They both have super long lasting coverage. Okay, the next favorite has been my favorite for a long time, which is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. I have the Tan Walnut and the Sand, which is definitely a little late for me. So we'll try the Tan Walnut, another big giant doe foot. These all have excellent, excellent coverage. So again, you don't need to worry about which one gives you more coverage. It really is just your preference. This one also dries down quickly and has, like I said, excellent coverage. Okay, so Maybelline SuperStay, and I have two of them. One of them is in the tube and it's a number 40, and then I have the number 22 in the activewear. This one, 30 hours, not just 24. This one is the newer version. It also is a smaller doe foot. I actually really don't like this doe foot. I like the concealer. I think it's very long-lasting concealer. This one, you can see there's like no padding at all. I mean, it's almost like wiping a piece of plastic that just has a cloth over it on your face. So This is also, both of these are pretty light shades for me. They're definitely brightening shades for me. It dries down also really quick. Like, it is going to last all day. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the little doe foot, but I think these smaller doe foots would be really good for if you're trying to brighten the under eye bags where you really need that precise placement and you don't want to use a creamy concealer because you want it to really, really last all day. I think these small doe foots would be really good at getting your concealers right then and there. Okay, and my last favorite concealer, but this one I actually don't reach for very much. This is a smaller doe foot also, but this is the Wet n Wild Incognito concealer. We'll put it up here at the top. It is a creamier feeling concealer also, but with the small doe foot. I think the creamiest feeling is the L'Oreal Infallible, but I also think when I did my arm swatches, the L'Oreal Infallible ended up with the most pigment after the 20-something hours that I was wearing it. So it's kind of interesting to me because I would have thought the creamier feeling one would have been the one that wore off the quickest, but it is not the case. So when I first was doing my concealer video, I swatched all of the 10 concealers on my arm and did a 24-hour wear test. And somehow, I don't know which video I talked about it in, but it either got deleted from the videos or it's in the previous video. I can't even remember, but I am mentioning this wear test. And what I found was all 10 of the concealers still had pigment on my arm 24 hours later. And that was through 2 morning walks, a workout at the gym, and the 3 that had the most pigment or coverage after that 24 hours, I mean, it was still a lot of pigment, was the L'Oreal Infallible, the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop, and the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. And I say wore off the quickest, again, 24 hours, they all still were there, but the this seemed to still have the most pigment. Okay, so that's it for the full coverage concealers, the ones that I use to cover my dark spots and my hyperpigmentations on my face. Now, under the eyes, I tend to prefer a more hydrating, more of a brightening concealer, and I tend to use those with like serums or skin conditioning ingredients. I have 5 here that I'm going to talk about. The e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer. This one's kind of fun. It's got a little brush and you just kind of pump up the concealer here. I'll just brush it on my arm. So this one I think is one of the lightest coverages. So I would use it for brightening, and it does say it's a brightening concealer, and that's where I feel that its strong suit is. Again, it's not necessarily if you have the dark circles. I don't think this is going to cover up those dark circles. If you use your color corrector and you get good coverage with that, this can brighten over it. Or if you actually use one of these long wearing ones just for very specific dark areas, but you want to brighten the entire under eye area, this would be good to layer on top because it is really thin. It's not going to feel cakey or like you're building up too much concealer. In fact, if I wanted, now I have a full face foundation, it's been set, it's been powdered, I could, a magnifying side, I could still feel comfortable putting this right here to brighten these areas, and it's going to be light enough to give me some brightening but not look cakey. It would also be good for touch-ups later on in the day over your existing makeup. So it's very, very lightweight. The next brightening one is the Flower Beauty Light Illusion. This is a full coverage concealer. I don't necessarily love the applicator either, but I find it works better for brightening. For me, it is another one that just feels invisible. It says full coverage, but I don't find it is as full coverage as the other ones. That's why I use it more under my eyes, again, because I want a lighter concealer under my eyes. I don't want it to move into my lines and wrinkles, and this one does beautiful. Then I have the NYX, boy this looks terrible in the lid, you can tell I'm using this. It's the Bare With Me Concealer Serum. Another good one under the eyes. I feel like the NYX serum provides a little bit more coverage. Again, super light. I mean, it really feels like you have nothing on your face. Then these next two have really good long-wearing coverage, I feel, as well as being skin-loving and conditioning under your eyes. And the first is the NYX Born to Glow Radiant Concealer. These both have these sponge applicators though, so even though these are like, I love the coverage, I hate the applicators. But I feel like you get some really good coverage with the Born to Glow. And then probably my favorite brightening concealer right now is the Revlon ColorStay Skin Awaken Caffeine Vitamin C 24-hour 5-in-1 concealer. I mean, I think the 5-in-1 is kind of just a marketing ploy because let me tell you what the 5 things are. 5-in-1, it erases, perfects, brightens, hydrates, and refreshes. I don't really see what that is, but anyways, I do really like this consistency. I do really like the coverage. I do find that the brightening is really long lasting. I mean, you know, honestly, this could be one of those cases of the color is the lightest, so it is actually going to be the brightest, and maybe that's why I like it the most right now. But I also feel like whereas some of these have dried completely down, the Revlon stays the most moisturized feeling, kind of like the L'Oreal Infallible, but it also has a lot of coverage and brightening, and it really brightens all day without me having to reapply it. So those are my top 10 drugstore concealers for 2022. I know there are a ton of other concealers out there, and I have a ton of additional concealers, some new, some older. I do prefer the liquid concealers. That's just a personal preference. I do have some other ones that I really love, but these are the ones that I'm reaching for most often. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.